Alrighty, folks. Away we go. I'll go ahead and drop my own volume down here because I am deafening myself at the moment right now. Alright. We are live, finally, for the first time in several weeks. We actually have a show because my internet's finally cooperating. Welcome to the show, folks. Hope y'all are having a good evening. I'm your host, Zach. Welcome to Arclight's Asylum. Got another episode of real-time painting for you tonight. Shout out to the channel sponsor, Aries Minis and Games, or Aries Games and Minis, I should say. Check out Derek's web store. He's got anything and everything Battletech, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Tons of hobby supplies, other games. Check it out. Tonight we are going to go ahead and put the finishing touches on the beast-mounted infantry that we worked on the last few painting streams. Realistically, all we have left to do are a few minor details on the Tarakim themselves, like the beasts that the infantry are riding. Just going to add some spots kind of on the back hide near the tail area. Just a few per animal. And then I'm also going to do some final details like edge highlighting and a little bit of basic highlighting on the weapons and uniform of the infantry, and then final touches on the bases. That should be it. So if you have not already, hop over to the Discord. Have the link in the chat. I've also got it in the description on YouTube if you are watching the recording. Without further ado, let's get to the painting desk and get some painting done. All right. I think things sound okay. Just going to go ahead and change the music. All right, we'll get a little bit of synthwave going in here. Put it at a volume that people can actually hear it, but isn't going to drown out my sultry voice. All right, just double checking stream health here before we get underway. And it looks green across the board. Happy to hear that. Alrighty. I've got a whole lineup of drinks here tonight. I got my rum and coke, which I haven't had in a very long time, so this is a nice little treat for myself. And then I got a coffee inside my Yeti tumbler, and I've got a Nalgene with a liter of water in it, so no one's getting dehydrated on this stream. I've got a clean wet palette here, as you can see off to the side. I've got the infantry. I like this one in particular. It's got the little hoodoo rock formation on the base. Still got a lot of those purple and magenta tones showing through in the shading, especially on the rock, but we did wash the rock with some Formula P3 Bloodstone just to kind of tone down that purple. It's still very prevalent on the Tarakim, or the Tarks, depending on your preferred nomenclature. That is the name of the animals that these dudes are riding. I'm really just going to apply some edge highlights to the infantry. Nothing crazy, and some edge highlights on the rifles and the saddle kit, like the reins and stuff like that. Once I'm done with that, we're basically just throwing, and then on the antennas as well, I'm going to throw like a little white tip, because why not? It's a fun little detail. Then we're going to finish off the bases, and that's it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and grab my painting handle. It's my Thunderhead Studio version 2 magnetic painting handle. I can't remember what he calls it, what Chris calls it, but big fan of this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of this. And by this, I mean Ogre and Camo from Citadel. Giving this a really, really good shake. Got a few agitators in it. I'm gonna go ahead and plop that down. This is like a kind of a greenish yellow. Quite desaturated. Really good camouflage color, and it's really good highlight color for olive drab, which is ultimately what we are using it for here today. I'm gonna go ahead and use my number 1 brush. Zoom in a little bit here. Now this is a fairly thin paint, so some of these are going to be slightly softer edge highlights, but that's totally fine. I'm going to zoom out just slightly. We get a little bit on the like the shoulder pad areas, and just some of these areas that already have some harder highlights. I don't need to hit everything. I'm just trying to make sure that the helmet and some of the more prominent areas get this color. I'm going to throw this on the backpack area that this, you know, insinuated radio is sitting in. We've already done quite a bit of like volume highlighting with this color as well as a couple others, so I don't need to go too crazy with the edge highlights. Beautiful. Pretty much good. We're just going to move on to the next one. Common Craftwork, welcome to the chat. Happy you could make it out. I've been absentee for the last couple weeks. Been dealing with internet problems, but they seem to be resolved, at least for the time being. So I'm definitely going to take advantage. It's been a little bit since I've painted. I did finish a piece off stream recently. I don't know if I've actually shared it in the real-time painting channel or on my Discord yet. I'll probably share it at the end of the stream. But yeah, it's a fun piece, an Ator Prime from Ares Games and Minis. It's kind of like a homebrew mech design that I'm pretty sure Derek has like his own record sheet he's made for it and everything, but yeah, it's just like a non-canon mech variant. Looks kind of cool. It's kind of like somewhere in between an Annihilator and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I think it looks pretty neat, and I painted it kind of in the style of the trading card game artwork for the Annihilator. Looks like super dingy, kind of dark and spooky looking. I can't remember the artist's name, but he's done a bunch of the trading card game stuff. Pretty prolific. Has a very notable style. Loves to pronk on Instagram. Does a lot of miniature renditions of the card artwork. It's all kind of in that style. Looks really neat. And I painted the miniature almost entirely with sponge and dry brushing, if you can believe it. It was very fun way to paint. I did like a couple enamel washes and did some, picked out a few details and painted those, but other than that, like, most of it was painted with dry brush and sponge. And it looks pretty good. I would say it's basically on par with a lot of my olive drab stuff that I paint with an airbrush. It looks more textured, obviously, but not like heavily textured, if that makes sense. So it actually looks pretty good. And the blending between colors worked out pretty well, all things considered. And little piece of advice: the sponge that I used was a makeup sponge, like one of those egg makeup sponges. Super soft, very fine texture, and just a really good sponge for stipple blending. You can get packs of them on Amazon for relatively inexpensive. Highly recommend. Yeah, those card art pieces are definitely always rad. I'm a big fan. The last infantry base that we got to do here. And slowly becoming enamored with another sci-fi universe recently. If you are a member of the Discord, you've probably seen me recently blabbing about it. It is called Project Morningstar. It is very 40K-like, but also very different in many ways. Yeah, it definitely looks like... I've seen some people call it the Temu 40K, which it definitely is not. But it's, for me and many others, when we look at it, it looks like humanity during the dark age of technology, which is super cool. It's basically humanity is run by mega corporations that they have like transhuman spec ops warriors that go in and just fuck shit up, much like the Astartes. But they are called the Barakan, and they it's pretty cool actually. They have their own, like, they speak the common tongue, but they also have their own battle language, and kind of like the Sardaukar from Dune. So very cool. I'm gonna grab some gray. This is a cold gray. I'm gonna use this to do some initial highlights on the rifles. And then once I do the initial highlights on the rifles, I'm going to grab a slightly brighter gray and we'll do the secondary highlights. This is a somber gray from Vallejo. Go have a sip of my drink. My wife and I have been on a big Diet Coke kick lately, but recently we picked up some Coke Zero. I don't think I've had Coke Zero in like probably a decade, honestly. That's by no means a flex. I just haven't had Coke Zero in like a decade. Not bad. Tastes very similar to actual canned Coke. Which is not my preference. I prefer like the bottled Mexican Coke because it is sweetened with cane sugar. Big fan of that. Tastes really nice. Just adding a little bit of water to my wet palate here. Go ahead and add a few basic edge highlights on the weapon system. Doesn't have to be super detailed. Still a little bit of brown tone present on the body of the rifles, which is actually kind of nice because it looks like dust in the recesses. It is kind of nice because not every single rider has a rifle, so I don't actually need to do every single dude. Or dudette. Sorry I'm late, Auto Bugello. Unacceptable. You knew what time this thing was kicking off. What's your excuse? Shamrock Craft Works, sucker for the Fanta. Yeah, Fanta's pretty good. So fun story actually, for Halloween this year, my wife bought a flat of Fanta and a couple other sodas, as well as like a big box of like little individual snack packs of chips, and then, you know, chocolate bars. And man, the kids, a kid literally, when they saw that we were handing out Fantas, stood on our front steps and yelled to the street, "Oh my God, you guys, this house has Fanta." Needless to say, we got bombarded by children after that public announcement. It was pretty hilarious. That flat of Fanta disappeared pretty quick. As you can see, I'm not going too hard in the paint with all the details on the rifles because they are super tiny. I'm also just painting these so they look good at arm's length on a table. Like, these infantry models have some detail, but they're not super well detailed in terms of like sculpt detail, or sculpted detail, I should say. So I just want these to look good enough. Good enough. The one fella right here with the rifle, so we'll quickly highlight this one, and then I'll grab a slightly brighter gray. Go ahead and start highlighting the most sharp corners and a couple edges. Big fan of doing little point highlights on tiny little things like this, especially at this scale. Eating dinner with the family, okay, that's reasonable. When I drink a lot of alcohol, people call me an alcoholic, but when I drink a lot of Fanta, Ivory calls me fantastic. I like what you did there. I'd rate that dad joke 5 out of 7. Secondary highlight color is going to be heavy blue-gray from Viho Game Color. This is their extra opaque. They don't really make this anymore. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite blue-grays. It's hard to get. I managed to find a fresh bottle, but it was really hard to come by. I had to scour the internet for this. It's one of my favorite cold mid-tone grays because on its own it looks quite gray, but when you have it with like side by side with a neutral gray, it looks quite blue. So it's really fun for layering up into white and other things to kind of hide nice cool tones. Again, I'm just kind of hitting the sharpest corners with this color. Boom. That's good enough. Move on to the next one. This is like the most basic non-metallic metal I could ever paint, but it works, especially at this scale. You don't need to be super detailed. You're just looking for little indications of things rather than actually painting all the details completely fleshed out. You want to trick the eye. That Bob Ross shit, you know what I'm saying? Autocorrect's being shit today, huh? Are you watching this on your phone? I'm gonna say I don't think I've ever watched Twitch on my phone. I always watch Twitch streams on my PC, and I don't have autocorrect on my PC. Quick and easy, nothing fancy. That's about it. I'm going to go ahead and grab a brown color of some kind. What color that's going to be, I don't know. Because I need to highlight the saddle kit. Oh, maybe I don't. Maybe I can leave it darker. I don't know. We'll see. No, I'm going to use Monster Brown. I think it's a kind of a desaturated mid-tone. And I think it looks different enough from a lot of the other colors here because I haven't actually used this color yet. So just so you can see, it's, yeah, kind of a desaturated mid-tone brown. Let's use this. And this will be my highlight color for the saddle kit. Need to go too hard on this highlight. It just needs to hit some of those edges and a little bit on some of the bigger areas, but there aren't many. the back of the seat there. Do the reins on this one. So, fun fact: I did a calculation earlier today, actually, around the time that I did my test stream. I was just looking at the set of stream recordings that I have from doing my Clan Novacat Alpha Galaxy mechs. I added up all the time that it took across all the streams, and it was 33.51 hours. Now, that also includes like the first 10 minutes of every stream recording where nothing's happening, as well as, you know, the chit chat quickly at the beginning, as well as like the 15 minutes of chat at the end, and the like 10 to 15 minute break I take in the middle. However, there was some varnish application as well as decals being applied off camera with those, so the time added up actually is fairly accurate. So when I break that down, that is 10 miniatures, so it's essentially 3.36 hours per miniature, which, all things considered, on those Clan Novacat Alpha Galaxy mechs, not bad. Not a bad amount of time to spend getting those mechs to look that way. You know, it's literally like, basically it's like 3 hours and like 23 minutes or something like that per miniature on average, if you average it out across the entirety of the time. Definitely felt like a long time, and you know, with all the time added up, 33 and a half hours is quite a bit of time. But when you look at it on an individual miniature basis, really not a lot of time per miniature spent. It's pretty awesome, especially for a paint scheme like that, where there's, you know, it's not just a solid color, there's a lot of detail added in. But it's just one of those paint schemes where I've found a few different ways to cheat and make things a little bit more expedient time-wise. Very handy. If you haven't checked out those episodes, I highly recommend going into my YouTube library and go underneath the live category, and you will see the old stream recordings of those paint jobs. Watching on my phone so I can lay in bed, have to be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. That sucks. Sorry to hear. Is that for work or personal or family engagement? I don't think that working on these guys is going to take us too long tonight. It's kind of nice. I think if we end up finishing early, I might just work on basing a few other miniatures that I've been preparing. That's why I stopped the hobbying. Oh, vacation, nice. Where are you going? I'm assuming you're all taking an early flight and whatnot. That's probably why you're getting up super early. I haven't gone on a vacation in a while. I'm going to be traveling this Christmas to visit my folks in the Toronto area, and then flying over to Edmonton to visit all the in-laws, all on the same trip. So it's going to be 3 flights for one trip, essentially, because we're gonna fly to Ontario, be there for 4 days. Then on day 5, we're gonna fly out to Edmonton, and then spend time with the in-laws, and then fly home. We'll spend 4 days complete in Ontario, 4 days complete in Edmonton, and then a day of travel on the front and back end of those. So it's not really going to be much of a vacation though, because flying with a little one, and we're doing it to make sure that we see all of our family, because we live quite a ways away from all of them, so we only get to see them once or twice a year at most. And especially because we have our young daughter, we just want to make sure that she can connect with all of her extended family as much as possible, even though she's fairly young. Just want to make sure that she gets to know them, gets familiar with them, stays familiar with them, and vice versa. Florida, we have a friend that lives there. Nice. Whereabouts in Florida? Like North or South Florida? That's the thing. People forget about Northern Florida. Northern Florida is like when you're on the Panhandle, it's you may as well be in a tropical paradise. But when you get to Northern Florida, you're basically in Georgia / South Carolina, man. It's you're in the South. It's very different. Tampa, nice. Doesn't it rain like every afternoon in Tampa, basically? Which would actually be dope. Like, have like an hour of rain every afternoon, kind of cool things off, and then unfortunately make it super humid while the evening sun cooks it off. Anyways. Yeah, I know Tampa's where they filmed the first Punisher movie. Nice place. All right. I'm going to just grab a little black ink here. I'm going to reinforce the blackness, reinforce the darkness on the antennas, on the radios, for the Manpack radios. I'm then going to grab a little bit of white ink. I'm going to do the white detailing. Let's do that. And then once I do that, we'll work on the bases. Realize I have a bunch of white ink on my my finger here. I just want to make sure I'm not spreading that to any of these miniatures. It dried rather quickly. But back to Project Morningstar. I became intrigued after watching the videos on YouTube. Highly recommend you check them out, because they are super neat, very well done, very well animated, intriguing. And part 3, which came out very recently, if you search Project Morningstar The Hunt, part 1, part 2, and part 3, yeah, unreal stuff, man. Like, really well done, really well animated, intriguing. And part 3 really kind of gives you a glimpse into how dystopic that whole setting is. And basically, with those mega corporations running everything, the super rich and super elite get very bored, so they go on what are called hunting safaris, where they get some of the most elite mercenary warriors in all of the hegemon, which is, you know, the hegemonic empire that kind of runs humanity, or most of humanity anyways. But all these rich elites get bored, they go on these safaris, and they basically pay to watch war be waged. It's yeah, pretty cool. And you know, the leader of this massive armada is called the producer, because he's there to produce a show. It's super fucked up, but also very cool. I think it's really neat. It's basically, if it's basically 40K if you shit mixed it with capitalism. You're just describing Detroit with you're just describing Detroit. Are you talking about my description of Morningstar? I know in Detroit you can buy houses for like $500. I mean, they're absolutely decrepit, and yeah, you basically gotta tear them down, but pretty cool that you can. And you know, the neighborhood's not exactly great, but pretty crazy that you can buy houses for like $500 there. I just had like a textured bit on this antenna that I needed to peel off, so I ended up actually kind of peeling off some of the primer, pardon me, by accident. I'm just going to add a little bit more black ink here, and I hope that this stays. In the grim dark future, there are only microtransactions. Oh no, I can't remember what the saying is on their website. Let me go to it, because it's a pretty good one. I like it. Pull it up on my phone here. Here we go. Go to the Project Morningstar website. They have a great saying. Oh, let me go to the source book. It has it within like the first couple pages. Yes, here it is. Trust in greed. I like that. It's a pretty good one. It's kind of like the main saying of the setting is trust in greed. Because greed is like the epicenter of the entire setting. Alright, now to make some big decisions when it comes to the colors that we're going to use on the base, because I'm going to have to slap some more color onto the hoodoo, and I want to make sure that I don't drown out all this other stuff. I want to make this decision before, because I'm going to have to layer some of that up on the base. I'll do that, and then I'll apply the white details on the antennas, and then hopefully by the time that's done, the paint should be mostly dry. I am going to use some of this color. It's the 88. I'm gonna grab a dollop with the back of my painting handle, or paintbrush handle here. I'm also going to move into some much brighter tones, I think, like almost fleshy tones, like so. I think that'll give an interesting look. It'll kind of keep some pink hues in there. You know what? I'm going to use a little bit of dry brush on the hoodoo here. Trying to avoid the Tarak as much as possible, because I don't want to ruin some of the detail work that I've done there. Oops, let me get this actually in frame here. There, I think that's good. Cool. I'll have to build this up on the actual soil as well, but that's totally fine. Build this up a bit on the rocky area on this base too. Rinse this off quickly. Want the paint to dry on that brush. I'm going to go ahead and grab my detail brush and just get a bit of this XV88 into some of these areas. Smaller dry brush. Now, essentially, I'm going to use this color on mostly the rock, exposed rock. I'm not going to use this XV88 color on the soil, or I'm going to try to avoid applying it there anyways. I'm going to move on to a different color. Probably going to grab the bloodstone, the Formula P3 bloodstone. I'm going to dry brush that onto the soil, and then I'm going to go in with the flesh tone afterward, and that'll be kind of the highlight color. So the bloodstone is this stuff. It is very ruddy brown. I really like it. Double checking the stream health here while I shake my bottle. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, 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 shake your bottle. Really like this Formula P3 bloodstone, because if you want like a Moab or Martian like desert base, it works really well. Go pretty heavy with this. Like, I'm not going to offload a ton from my brush before applying it. I want to get a pretty heavy saturation of this all over the soil, because I want to kind of brighten this up just a little bit and have the mid-tone, which is going to be this color, dominate. And then I want the flesh tone to be kind of the brightest. stuff that is just on the very tips of all the rock. Again, I'm trying to be careful not to rub this paint onto the tar keyem, as I've done quite a bit of work to blend and create texture. You can see I'm really trying to not hit the underside of the sky. Now I understand that this rock looks starkly different than this, but that's totally fine. We're not done with the rock and we're not done with the soil. Be really slick with how I navigate this brush around these miniatures, because I'm really trying to get as close to them as possible, especially around the feet. But I don't want to get this color all over there. I also got to be careful with the ferrule, because the ferrule is made of metal, and as you can see here, I've actually damaged a little bit of the paint, so I'm going to be very careful here. So I'm gonna have to go back in and touch that up a little bit. Largely dominated by the bloodstone now. Largely dominated by the bloodstone in varying amounts, and that's totally good. I love me a good dry brush, I'll tell you that. Makes me happy when I can, rock it through a step on a miniature with a dry brush, as opposed to, pulling out a standard deep detail brush. Yeah, that's good, and go in with this guy. Apologies about the angle. I'm just trying to work quickly here. Run this between the miniatures without touching them. Just around the tail area there. Okay. Just a little bit more of the bloodstone to a couple areas here. Cool. Dry brushing is great for terrain and stuff because all the little variations you get helps it make it look more natural. Yeah, I totally agree. Cool. Alright. I'm not going to clean this yet just because I want the next color to kind of blend into it. I'm going to go ahead and get at this with the flesh tone. Should help really sell the kind of reddish look to the soil. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow tone into this as well, but I just want to try and get a good amount of this on there because this really is going to highlight that bloodstone really, really well. Because the bloodstone helps to bring up the overall dominance of the ruddy brown tone on the base, but it doesn't highlight because it's a mid-tone. So having this flesh tone helps add a bit of warmth and brightness to it without being too high contrast. There. It's looking pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. I'm going to add another color beyond this flesh tone. I have like a brighter flesh tone called Rin Flesh from like this. I think this is just Barbarian Flesh. But I have Rin Flesh from Formula P3, and it's quite pale. It's pale like my skin. I'm probably going to use that as like the final highlight color. Sometimes do myself a bit of a disservice with how I lay things out on my bases when I put them on with my basing material prior to paint like this. Sometimes I just put certain areas a little bit too close together for me to get into certain spots, but that's okay. I just work around them as best as I can. Try to build up some of this other flesh tone over here. Careful of this guy. It's the one I damaged earlier. I'm going to zoom this out slightly, just so I'm not constantly backing out of the frame. Because I am moving pretty quickly here, so unfortunately I'm turning the miniature in my hand just quickly as I'm moving through, so I'm not always necessarily paying attention to where it is in frame. I do apologize. It's been a bit since I painted on camera. It is definitely much, even despite my camera setup being pretty ergonomic and out of the way, it's still one of those things, got to be cognizant of it, or else I just push things right out of the frame. And then people won't even be watching what I'm painting for like a minute or two until I look up and I realize, like, oh, I'm not even in the frame. Nature of the beast, I guess. Just trying to get the area underneath the tails here. Like, this is an area I did myself a disservice by putting everything so tightly clustered right there. Trying to get in here with a dry brush is really annoying. But, it is what it is. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and grab... I'm gonna do this one. We're gonna do... This is Barbarian Flesh. I don't know what this other one is. Oh, Cardic Flesh. That's what this one is. The one that we just used. We're gonna try Barbarian Flesh. I'm not going to apply this everywhere. I'm just applying this onto a few select spots. I don't want this to dominate. I just want this to show up in a few areas. I'm also going to add some yellow tone after this. And then the last one. Cool. I'm literally going to use, it's called Sand Yellow from AK. It's going to stand out quite a bit against the more red tone. Again, I'm not going to rinse this brush. I want this to blend a little bit with the color that's already on there. This is going to bring like a lot of brightness to certain areas. And again, it's going to increase some of that tonal variation. But this is still going to keep things very warm. Just like so. And now the animals look like they're kind of blending in with the, the environment they live in, but they still stand out a little bit because they're slightly different in tone. Like completely. Like all the colors used are different than the ones here used on the base. So they have similarities, but they're not the same colors. They are different, and yeah, there's just enough variation that they will stand out, especially with that purple hue. It's going to help quite a bit. Probably won't need to load any more of this on my brush because again, I just want little touches of this. Doesn't need to be a lot. Just like so. We'll go on to the last one here. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this out now before this gets too cruddy. Just glanced up from the stream while having my pipe and saw a skunk 10 feet from me. Oh boy. So funny story, I lived in southern Ontario for a number of years, and I had skunks living underneath my shed. Unbeknownst to me at the time. Now, I was spray painting a rifle in my garage in the front of my house. It was an attached garage in the front of my house. Shed was in the back. Had the garage open. It was night, like the sun had set and it was kind of magic hour. There was still a little bit of blue air glow in the sky, but it was getting dark. And right as I was finishing up, I look up because I saw something moving out of the corner of my eye. My garage door was like completely open. I saw one skunk, then two, then three, then about 10 more that were all juvenile, all run into a cluster right at the opening of my garage. So I just quickly closed my garage, and then they all ran into my backyard underneath my shed. So we had about a dozen skunks living underneath my shed for a few months. It was interesting, to say the least. I had several cats that liked to get outside. Regardless of whether or not we would let them out, they would just bolt out when we weren't paying attention. And man, we got very lucky that they didn't get skunked, because that would have been annoying. So yeah, stand on guard, my dude. I am going to grab... I'm going to grab a bit of desert yellow. Very thin. I'm actually going to have to grab another bit of paper towel here. Just need to try to suck some of the rest of the moisture out of this brush. This one's also fairly wet and dirty, so I don't really want to use this one. I'll zoom in slightly with this one. Whole family of stink bombs. Glad no spraying happened. I just stomped my feet and it waddled off. They have bad eyesight. Yes. So I've heard. There we go. This desert yellow from Vallejo is a lovely color. It is a more desaturated desert yellow, whereas that sand yellow from AK Interactive is quite saturated, like very yellow, whereas this is more kind of your traditional khaki. There's quite the streak of desert yellow on there that I didn't actually necessarily want, but that's okay. Cool. That stands out quite a bit. Let's see if I can get in there with a little bit of this guy. Close enough. go. I like that the rock stands out. There's still a little bit of that yellow, or sorry, the purple undertone showing through, even with all the yellow dominating it. But yeah, looks good. I'm happy with how this turned out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse that brush again. Leave this sitting on my little paper towel. Another sip of my rum and coke. All my ice is melted. That's no good. Quite watered down. No bueno. All right. So we have a few more details to do. I got to do the little antenna details. I also need to do the eyes and the teeth of the Taurus. So I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead and grab whole red. I'm going to paint this into the mouths, and then I'll layer up with kind of like a bone color for the actual teeth themselves. Getting this down a decent amount. No, I might actually just do this with straight up black. Get it completely dark. Do the mouths first, and then I'll do the eyes after. And hit the eyes. Trying to hit those deepest recesses in the eye sockets. I think we'll probably, I don't know what color we're going to do the eyes. Maybe we'll do them green, just because green will stand out against the rest of this. I'll probably do them like, I don't know. Maybe I'll do them glowing, just for like extra, I don't know, visual, or maybe I'll do them glowing red. Who knows? Oh, it seems I've already gone through some of these other dudes and painted the mouths and eyes black. Look at that. I thought I had on most of them, but not all of them. So there's just the one dude. All right, cool. No, I'm just gonna go straight into like a khaki color for the teeth. I'm gonna use skeleton bone. very desaturated khaki, very bright. I'm pretty much just going to like do like an edge, like a side on dry brush. You know what, I'm gonna throw a little bit of Hull Red into this, and then I'm gonna add on the other color. The reason why is the Hull Red is just gonna add a little bit of red tone into the recesses, which is going to look like gums and the inside of the mouth after I layer up some of the teeth color. It's just doing it with the black. Kind of looks a little weird. I was just looking at the teeth and the mouth after I applied the skeleton bone. I just didn't like how it looked, so I just made a quick snap decision. Just going to change that on the fly. I actually like on like other miniatures, I like using reds or purples on the insides of mouths. But I really like purples and then layering reds over top afterwards. But here we already have so much purple that I don't want to use that color, so I'm going to focus on just red. I'm just using that Hull Red. It's kind of like a dark rust red. Now, layering up the black before layering this Hull Red is definitely good as well because it helps increase the depth. Also, if you don't get the Hull Red into all of the recesses, you still have nice dark areas that add a lot of depth and shadow. Move on to the next one. Nope, this guy we just did. Okay. Next one. Just all I'm doing is thinning this paint down pretty heavily and just trying to flood it. Well, I shouldn't say flood it, but force it into the recesses as much as possible as I drag it along these teeth lines. And it's going to dry quite dark because this is already fairly dark as it is. And it's going over top of black. One more, and then we'll move on to the tooth color, and then I think that'll be it for the mouths. Stop there. I'll have to touch up this guy as well. Okay. I'm gonna go straight into the tooth color. I don't know if you can tell there, I'm just trying to get like the most prominent areas of teeth. I'm not trying to completely cover all of the teeth. It was kind of difficult because these teeth are not super well detailed. So I'm kind of drawing and just leaving indications in certain areas. Go, that's one down. Move on to the next one. Now on these bases, I'm probably going to add some like tufts, like tiny desert tufts and things like that. But I'll do that probably off camera, off stream, because that'll just be like a fun, like Tuesday or Wednesday night, like, you know, throw on Battlestar Galactica in the background and sit there for like 40 minutes and add a few tufts to these guys. And then that's just going to add a little bit of sprinkling of green to the bases, which is going to help things pop and like really kind of make, I think it's going to help show some of the differences between the soil color and the animals, like the Tarakim, a little bit more. I think it's just going to be a good thing. Just a little bit of added variation adds a little bit of contrast. Cool. These guys are good. As you can see, like the teeth, they're not super well detailed, but I'm just adding enough of an indication that you can see them. I don't want to go too crazy painting these. The other sides of the mouths. Still not sure what color I want to do the eyes. I don't know if I want to do red or green. Might do green. Or blue. Blue might be kind of cool, actually. I think I might do blue. Like a glowing, like azure blue or something like that. Okay. Do the teeth on these guys, and then that is it for the mouths. So we're all on the same page. Once we finish the teeth, the remaining details are the antennas, adding like the white detail to the tops of them. I need to add some spots to the hides of the Tarakim, and then I need to do the eyes. If I didn't already mention that, the eyes, the spots, and then the white details on the antennas. And once those are done, it's basically just painting the base rims black. Cool. That's it for the teeth, for them biters, dude. That's it. Oh, so good. So good. I'm gonna go ahead and add the white details just because I'm still undecided on eye color. I think we're going to do blue. It's going to stand out quite a bit against all of this. I'm pretty much just putting like the end millimeter and a half of the antenna is white, titanium white, as Bob Ross would say. Cool. That's one. Totally impractical, real time, but it just, you know, helps the antenna stand out. And as much as I like things to look, you know, realistic on my miniature bases, I also want things to stand out. That's why when I paint camouflage, I do larger patterning, I do edge highlights and other things like that. And I'll saturate certain colors in a way that, you know, wouldn't be present in actual real camouflage, but look like they could fit in with an artsy camouflage pattern on a miniature. And that's, again, just because, you know, I want things to stand out. If I paint everything in camo and I can't see it on the tabletop, well, that's a problem. Just trying to reinforce the white layer here. Cool. That's done. Two more to go, and then we'll crack on with the eyes. We're gonna do them blue. Trying to make sure that the white is as even as possible and thick, like properly saturated, nice even coat all the way around. All right, cool. I think we're about good there. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit to the very tip. Boom. There we go. Okay. For the blue on the eyes, we'll start with intense blue. That'll be the base coat. I'm going to add crystal blue. Actually, no, we're going to do Sotek green. Pardon me, which is actually still blue. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to catch the rest on the VOD tomorrow. Have a good night. Happy your internet's back up and running. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out, and best of luck on your travels. Always happy to see you in the chat there, Audible Jello. Three colors we're going to work with are intense blue for the base coat, Sotek green, which is a teal, like a mid-tone teal for the mid-tone, and I'm going to use arcane blue, which is like a very bright highlight teal or turquoise almost a cyan, but not quite. It's got a little bit more green in it. Now, I don't want these to straight up look like they're glowing, necessarily. I do want to have them be like very intense. I have to try to create very, very small dots within the base coat layer. And we're just going to say that their eyes are this blue because they're living on the deserts of Dune, dude. Spice extends the life. Spice expands consciousness. Spice is vital for space travel. Travel without moving. Do. Little astral projection psi transfer, y'all. Two down, two to go. Cool. And one more to go. Base coat done. I'm gonna chug the rest of this drink and call her done. Have my first sip of coffee here. Oh, that's good. Tone. I'm really trying to just get on the actual raised portion of the eyeball, not in the crevices around that. To create a very small pinpoint of very bright color. So next color is going to be very, very bright, so going to be just a tiny little dot inside those eye sockets. And I think this brown's going to be nice. It's going to stand out the blue rather is going to stand out quite a bit against this this brown and reddish tone. And for the spots that we're going to do on the Tarkheem, I'm going to base them in kind of like a black or dark gray, and then layer up with a little bit of green, I think. It's like a mid-tone bright green. Highly saturated green, I should say. We'll see though. And I think these eyes and the little spots that I do on the head / neck as well as the tail area are going to really help to make the Tarkheem pop against the terrain. Just those little details, I think, are going to make a big difference. And they don't take a long time. A little bit tedious, you know, but they don't take long. Like all in all, for these eyes, we won't spend more than 10 minutes doing them total. Okay, and on this one, I'm going to go right into the Arcane Blue. I'm going to go for like the smallest dot possible here. And I'm going to try to put the dot near the front of the eye, so it covers like the front half of the eyeball. So it looks like the animal is looking forwards, if that makes sense. Let's see if I can zoom in here, show you what I'm saying. Like so. So 1 down, 3 to go. Like I said, it's a little bit tedious, but really doesn't take a long time. And it's just a very fun detail. It makes the animals feel a little bit more complete. Two down, 2 to go. Okay. Eyeballs popping. One last set here. arcane blue. Again, I'm really trying to go for the smallest dot possible. It does need to be noticeable, of course, but I'm trying to go for the smallest possible dot that is in fact noticeable at this scale. The brush is starting to dry out just a little bit. Go. Okay. Go ahead and grab. I'm going to use Thornwood Green. Okay, this is what I'm going to use to do the initial spots. Essentially one of the last details that we're going to be painting on these before we paint the base rims black. This is the final step prior to varnishing and adding any flocking. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black to this Thornwood Green, so it's like a black green, green black. This spot's going to do very, very small. As you can see, just doing some dark spots on the top of that little tail area. Trying my best not to make them completely uniform across the board, but you know. I'll get the kind of the head / neck area just a little bit. A couple larger ones. Just the tiny little specks for the little ones around. I might not actually add any internal colors to these. I think these are going to do their job just on their own. Looks pretty good. I like that. Just with the dark spots. Adds just enough character. It's very subtle. And adding slightly more and slightly less on others is going to definitely help. As much variation as possible. All right, so you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. Those spots just add like a little bit of variation. It's very, very subtle. But if you look at the line art of the just straight up Tariq or Tarkim, they do have spots in the line art. So I added the striping just as like a means of adding texture to them because they're supposed to have like a wrinkled brown hide. But then the line art also has them as having like spots. So that's why I've got those. All right, let's go on to the rest of them. I'm just gonna add little bit of paint to the nose of this thing here because I have a little bit of metal showing through from below. All right, let's go back to the spot color. This guy has like a little one down by his nose. Again, variation is nice. I'll do some bigger ones. And then a bunch of smaller ones. Kind of like starting off with just a few big ones. And then I'll just move to just tiny little taps around. Go. Such a small little detail, but I really like the overall look it lends to these. So we've finished 2 squads. To the next one. Beauty of putting a much darker color over this is even the tiniest little specks show up really easily, as we have that brighter color kind of highlighting all the skin rather. So throwing these dark dots over top, really easy to see. All right, last one, and then dare I say we are at the final step of adding the black around the base rims. Slightly bigger spot on that dude's head than I wanted, but that's okay, because again, we're going for variation. So having some that are slightly bigger, slightly smaller, and ones that look a little bit odd, totally fine. They don't all need to be perfect. In fact, trying to strive for perfection on these will actually make them look worse. So if you think you're an imperfect fuck, well, be imperfect. It will actually do you a service here. More to my brush here. All right. I think we're going to call those good. Pretty happy with that. Pretty nice. I think I'm going to add just a couple smaller dots actually to the forward areas of these guys' heads. Just like that. All right. Cool. A little sip of my coffee here. Look at that. We're not even 2 hours into the stream. All right. I'll go ahead and rinse out my detailing brush and give it a quick clean. And then we'll go ahead and paint the base rims black. And that'll kind of be the end of the painting for this. Now I'm going to grab this guy, the slightly beat up number 2 brush. I have my black ink on my palette. I'm just going to add a bit of black paint into it, just so it's got a little bit more thickness to it, and this is just going to help with coverage. Oops, there we go. The black ink will help with the overall saturation, but the having the black paint is going to help with just the overall coverage. I like to overhang because I use a magnetic painting handle, and just to help me get the cleanest possible lines along my base edges. I like to come at them side on from underneath like this. Now, if you're wondering why I touched my brush to my wet palette sponge there, got a little bit of black ink into this. That's just me adding a little bit of moisture into my brush. It's one of the reasons why my wet palette sponge looks so dingy and gross, is because I do this very frequently. I don't necessarily know that it's a good or bad habit, but it is a habit of mine. Now, whenever I have rock faces like this that are nudged right up against the base edge and they're cut flat, I generally paint them black along with the base rim. It's just a personal preference of mine. Like this rock here isn't like cut flat, whereas this stuff is. do the base rim first, and then I'll come up here and just kind of delineate carefully where the actual black is going to be. And that's just to show that, like, this rock formation, this isn't how this rock formation would look, because the rock formation continues beyond the base edge, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to delineate, like, no, this is where the rock ends. The rock doesn't end here. It continues going off the base. That's kind of how I insinuate those kinds of things. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's one done. Seems like good, even coverage all the way through. I'm going to lay this on kind of thick just because I only want to do one single pass with the black. I don't have to come back and layer on anymore. I'm going to lay it on thick, but I don't want to lay like the paint on so thick that I'm going to end up with like bubbling or texture. Add a little bit of water to my brush. I'll help thin the paint and everything down just a little bit. We've got a bit of purple showing through. Cool. Go ahead and rotate this over once more, and these will be the last two sides. Old glob of black paint on my black paint rather, not black paint. Black paint on my brush. Just making sure around the edges that I'm not seeing any like color creeping through this black paint. Boom. With a little bit of black ink to this mix. As the black ink is very heavily saturated. Mercenary Star, hey there, what's going on, dude? I should rotate this guy. So again, this is one of the handy things about having a magnetic painting handle, is I can just kind of move my miniature base around on the painting handle however I want. I can let it overhang like this if I need to. There are some obvious downsides, like if I put too much pressure on this guy's just going to fall off. and you're limited sometimes in putting like a heavy pewter miniature on the magnetic painting handle. If I'm going to do something like that, I generally need to have the miniature based on like a standard hex base with a steel washer glued into the hex base, and then that will generally give it enough hold to stick to this, whereas these bases just have heavy duty magnetic stickers on the bottom from Litco. They work really well for plastic miniatures, but again, if I'm going to use a metal miniature, generally speaking, these heavy duty magnetic stickers don't quite do the job. But there should be some exciting news in the near future from Thunderhead Studio on that front. I don't want to say any more. Been talking with Chris recently, today actually, about some stuff that he's working on in the future. I might be doing a little bit of testing for him, just to give him some feedback on some stuff that he wants to put out. I actually did that with this painting handle. This is version 2. I had version 1 for a while before he actually released his version of the painting handle. And yeah, I always really enjoy doing stuff with Chris, or for him, with him. I like collaborating, is what I'm trying to say. And I really like Chris's products. Like pretty much everything that Thunderhead Studio puts out is like, I think he pretty much has knocked everything out of the park. I'm a big fan of all of his products. I love how modular they are and versatile. So, but yeah, I won't say what he is working on or what I might be collaborating with him on, because we're still working out details, and I'm sure he doesn't want me to spill beans. But yeah, stay tuned. It's gonna be some cool stuff. All right. All right. What I say, I think we're done. Give this brush a really good rinse. Again, I do need to varnish these, and I'm going to add some tufts, like grass tufts, to the bases. But I'm pretty happy with these. Go ahead and throw the lid over my wet palette here. It's always a weird feeling finishing a project, because sometimes it feels a little bit anticlimactic. This is the one with the hoodoo, obviously. Now, I wanted, like, as per the lore, these animals are, they're colored to blend in with their environment, but I wanted these to stand out as much as possible while still blending in with their environment. So as you can see, from top down, they actually do a very good job at this. But from like side on, you can see a lot of those purple hues that I've left in the shading. The eyes help them pop quite a bit as well, which is nice. And then the spots on them help to add a nice little touch. The hoodoo rock being a little bit different is nice as well. You can still see a little bit of that purple color variation, a little bit of that purple and magenta hue sitting in the shading on the rock formation itself. Obviously, much more so on the Tarakim, but still present on the rock. This is one of the better looking ones. This one's a little bit more reddish. But again, I feel like while these guys blend in to their environment, having those purple hues and some of those other details, like the texture details, helps them stand out. I'm a big fan. We'll get them all lined up here. It's been a bit of a journey, folks, but here we are. Zoom these out slightly. Well, I'm very happy to finally have a platoon of these guys. I do have some periphery stuff that I want to work on in the future. I have like some SRM/LRM carriers that I have based and prepped, as well as like a Wasp battle mech. I'm also going to be working on some other battle mechs, like pretty much an entire set of the Game of Armored Combat box set, those 8 mechs. I'm going to paint up as Tarians. These guys, like the Tarik mounted infantry, generally are like Outworlds Alliance, but I'll probably play them with my Tarians because, you know, periphery's got to stick together. Apes together strong, dude. Hell yeah. Alright, well, I think we're going to call that a night. I was thinking about doing some other miniature prep and whatnot, but I'm going to probably start reading through the source book for Morningstar, Project Morningstar. But before we get to that, let's hop over to the chat, and we'll pop into the real-time painting channel on the Discord, and we'll close out with that. Thusly, wait one. All right, here we go. Pull up the Discord channel, minimize that, get that out of my way. Shaboom! It's always a good meme. Just want to see. I'm gonna go back up here because this is quite a bit of stuff that I haven't seen since the last stream. Wow, lots of stuff getting posted in here. I like to kind of leave the real-time painting channel out of my attention span. I'll pop into like the other ones, but I like to leave this one out of my attention span. That way when I do stream, a lot of the stuff is fairly fresh, and I'm just seeing it for the first time. Oh, nice. Optimus Prime. Alright, I think this is about where we left off last time. Oh yeah, we had a bot enter the Discord. I guess that's a sign of success when you have bots entering your community. Nice. Look at the brightness there. Neon Tuft. Ooh, Mantardis. Working on Clan Novacat Alpha Galaxy. Black Python. I really like this mech. I have one of my Novacats, my Sigma Galaxy Novacats, not my Alpha Galaxy dudes. But I really like this mech design. I like the fighter jet aesthetic. Kind of reminds me of like an A-10 Warthog or I guess kind of an F-18 as well. I really, I'll have to check the planned release schedule, but I would like to see Catalyst Game Labs do a remake of the Champion sculpt, because it's kind of got that fighter jet aesthetic. Nice. Trinary of the 113th Viper Regulars. Ooh, and Clan Wolverine. Was that 411th Battle Cluster? Yes. Nice. Wolverines! Those who shall not be named. I like that. I like the quartered paint job look. The green in the top and bottom quarters. I like how that's all divided up. Comstar just churning them out, man. This guy just churns out mechs like no other. Nice stuff. Luna Wolf 40k, alright. That's a good pile of shame right there. Mine's unfortunately larger than this. Probably about 4 to 5 times as large as this. And I think that's me being realistic, actually. I think that's probably fairly accurate. Probably 5 times larger than this. And that's not including like buildings and drop ships, because I do have a drop ship, a drop shuttle, and some terrain that I need to paint. It's an addiction. It really is. I have problems. Loving the Shaman Craftwork, nice. I love the blue. Some more work from Comstar. He's working on some more Sword of Light stuff. I don't know if you can tell, but he's actually using some purple as his shadow color. So he probably spray painted or airbrushed these with purple and then layered up the red over top. It's actually a really good choice. Adds like a nice little bit of contrast. John Boy. Simple, you know. I think thinning the paint a little bit more and making sure you get even coverage, that'll help. Again, Comstar, just cranking them out. I like that he's kind of going the pourable Benjamin Wendt route of doing the 2D or two-dimensional basing. Looks pretty good. Oh, nice. Comstar's been working on this weird color palette scheme. Up close, it doesn't look as good, but like when the image is small like this, it looks really cool, almost like color shift holographic paint. The dragon. This is very clean work. This is Audible Jello. It's a shame that you're not here in the chat, so I can't actually congratulate you. But hopefully you see this on the VOD, because this is very clean work. I really enjoy this. I've actually been watching since I started the stream and we started the Discord. I've actually seen Audible Jello's skill increase markedly since. Nice. Digging the base. I love that there's it's like hexagonception going on the base there. It's just like cubes stacked on cubes. I guess it's cubes or hexagons depending on which way you look at it. It's kind of cool. Comstar, some more of the surf basing. Again, two-dimensional. Piece of Blake be with you, brother. Oh, some more Wolverines. Cyclops. The flowers are a nice touch. Out of scale, but who cares? Fucking Big Bird here. Got the, looks like Delta Galaxy Clan Jade Falcon, Jade Turkey. Audible Jello doing another quartered paint scheme with the red and gray. Nice. There's that map we were looking at earlier. Pardon me. That's that Shadowhawk. Clean up and edge highlights. Looking nice. Some more details. Dotting the missiles. This is always a bit of a painful step sometimes. Doing the missiles. It's a Highlander as part of the Clan Wolverine stuff. Some more stuff from Comstar. Nice. Classic Blackjack. That is an Axeman, not a Hatchet Man. If I'm correct on that. I'm fairly certain that is an Axeman, not a Hatchet Man. Gotta love the Victor though with that giant AC-20. Yeah, just some more of those. Alright, and we're at the end there. What's going on in Randy Jones here? The marine proportions, more feasible details. But I think more about this guy. Bolters are just cool. Yeah, so we're talking about talking a little bit about project. We're talking about Project Morningstar here. This is pretty sick art, not gonna lie. I like the drum mag. That's a combi bolter, actually. Looks like, unless that's just supposed to be like a bird cage compensator, or not a bird cage compensator, a strainer compensator, strainer style. Pretty cool. Yeah, the aesthetic of Project Morningstar is interesting. It's I feel like it's like 40K but plus capitalism. You know what I mean? Like, or not even capitalism, like kleptocracy. It's 40K multiplied with kleptocracy divided by capitalism. Yeah. Anyways, very cool stuff. I think we'll end it there. No need to drag it on. I was going to start on some other stuff here, or I shouldn't say start, but do a little bit of like miniature prep work. But I think I'm going to turn on some Battlestar Galactica, listen to that in the background while I putz around my office doing other hobby-related tasks that aren't very entertaining. I'm also a little bit tired, so I don't feel like talking anymore. But on that note, I appreciate you folks spending your time with me tonight. It's been good to actually be able to stream again. Finally have my internet sorted out, so pretty awesome. That was very frustrating for like 2.5, 3 weeks. Even just watching some TV shows, I'd get buffering. It was annoying as hell. My wife was getting annoyed too because she works from home. So, but yeah, finally got that all sorted out. We will be streaming on Monday. Mech Warrior Monday will be continuing. We're going to do the next portion of the desert operations in Mech Warrior 4 Vengeance, so stay tuned for that. I'll put a reminder out tomorrow as well as Monday, and it will be starting at 8 Central on Monday evening. Don't miss it. It's going to be good. Straight up nostalgia farming. Have a good night, folks. Hope you enjoyed your stay in Arclight's Asylum. I'm your host, Zach. I bid you adieu.